Grimm Tonic was one of the games I was submitted for the Indie Game Spotlight stream. And this is an interesting take on the visual novel formula. I spoke with a developer about this on a podcast a few months ago, and about being a developer in Jamaica. And this is kind of his first game. Now, the general idea is that this is a visual novel game where, after having a very rough day at work and some very depressing text, you die. And the Grim Reaper or Death shows up to collect you and realizes that you don't have a soul. So instead of just being left around to your own devices, you apparently become a bartender at his bar. And it's up to you to keep the various people and not so human clientele happy in a variety of ways, while of course trying to become a better person. And while you can't hear it here, the game also features a very great jazzy soundtrack to it. So as with typical visual novel style, your main action is going to be choosing dialogue trees with the various clientele. They'll talk to you, and it will be up to you to figure out what kind of drink to serve them, using essentially, I guess, the bartender's guide meets the Necronomicon, or the cocktail grimoire. Which, unfortunately, as someone who is not a drinker, I had no idea what I was doing on stream. Fortunately, I have a few people on who are a little bit more casual drinkers than I am. But the general idea is that you serve the person a drink. If they like it, you can usually move forward in the conversation. If they don't, you'll have to find the right one. And I'm assuming as the game goes on, your choices will, or how you handle your clientele, will move the story towards different beats and different outcomes. We already ran into on stream a few of the bad endings, or quote-unquote bad endings in the game. And this will be a short spotlight because, again, I am not the visual novel player, so I can't tell you whether or not this is a good or bad version of it. The story has an interesting hook to it, and the game is definitely going for one of those tales where the world around you is already heightened and weird, and you're kind of being slowly but surely introduced to it. During your conversations, you'll talk to somebody who wants dragon's blood. You'll talk to another person who works kind of as like a necromancing business, and so on and so on. But with that said, though, there are a few things to keep in mind about Grimm Tonic, and we'll talk about them after a quick shout out to our Patreon backers. Thank you to our Patreon backers, and if you'd like to continue this discussion on game design, be sure to check out our Discord channel, linked down below. With Grimm Tonic, this was the developer's first full game that he was designing, and unfortunately it does show a few issues. We ran into a bug that required me to completely restart my profile because it wasn't showing text after a bad ending. As with all visual novel games, this isn't exactly the most exciting game to watch. And from what I've played so far, it only has one episode in it. The game is designed around essentially a season's worth of plays, and I think each one takes maybe 30 to 40 minutes if you speed through it. And that's not counting replaying for different endings and things like that. As a nice bonus, the game does feature unlockable mini-episodes that kind of follow the additional characters in the world doing their own thing away from the main character. But again, as a visual novel game, there just isn't a lot for me to really dig into. Like I said, I like the story, I like the kind of theme and setting for it. But for people who have played this or are visual novel fans, from what you've seen so far, I guess, what do you think about this? Like, what makes a good visual novel game compared to a bad one? But with the game on Steam now, I know he's still trying to work on more episodes with it. I don't know what the time frame is, sadly. But if you do pick up Grimm Tonic now, you will get access to episode 1, as well as the 2 mini-episodes that come along with it. But, like I said, for myself, it has an interesting hook to it, and I am generally interested to see how things develop. But I would like, I guess, a little bit more of at least from my point of view, a little bit more of a gameplay interaction with the drinks. such as being able to do serve good or bad versions of a drink, or just make that its own little mini game. But then again, though, I think that would probably take it away from its visual novel base. But there are any other games like this in terms of like mixing drinks or stuff like that? Let me know in the comments below. But I would like to thank the developer for submitting the game for the Indie Game Spotlight stream. We're going to be doing those at least once a month, so keep an eye out on Twitter as well as on our Discord channel for when I make those announcements, and you can submit your game for me to take a look at in the future. And if you'd like to catch the audio cast I did with the developer talking more about the design and being an indie dev in Jamaica, I'll include a link to that in the description down below. But that's going to do it for this Indie Spotlight. So once again, this has been Grimm and Tonic, and come back for daily discussions on game design here and on Game Wisdom, where we examine the art and science of games. Until next time, take care. If you're looking for another book about game design, be sure to check out my first title, 20 Essential Games to Study, out now. Thanks for watching the video. If you enjoyed things, be sure to do all the liking and subscribing that the kids are doing these days. Check out our Discord channel link down below where we hang out and chat game design, and come back later tonight for our regular streamings. But that's it, and tune in for more great content here and on Game Wisdom, where we examine the art and science of games.